to create a project for a hackathon that allow people to win $1 million for the best project. This is the Bolt.new famous hackathon that have been created. I decided to give it a shot, not because I wish to win $1 million, even though would not be bad, but because I want to go through the journey with you of creating and attempting to create a startup, my journey, and to share some tips with you about what is going well and what are the challenges. Sharing the process with you. First of all, I started creating the responding few questions to the Bolt.new website. When you join Bolt.new, if you get prompted model which asks you some information and it gives you 1 million token for free as a reward for that. Secondly, you can pay the pricing to have more and then build more for your application. The first tip and challenge I found doing the project is that as a free user, you don't have enough credits to write your full stack web application. So you might need more credits to you need to do. As you can see here, I had immediately stuck at a certain point because the token provided enough to continue with the project. So I had to pay for the $20, 20 euro per month membership, which allowed me to have more tokens, which I think were 10 millions. Second issue is that issue slash benefit. Basically, if you're not coder, you might realize you can go pretty far in creating a prototype, just vibe coding and asking basically with a prompt what you need to be built and to see that this is done. That is positive in one end and is negative in another, because why that is possible, you will realize as much as the project become complex that you will get stuck because the AI will not be able to perform the changes task and to continuously ask prompt questions and wasting token along the line. You also realize how the limit of the AI are actually very tiny because as they become complex, you realize how the expertise is required to get unstuck and to continue to build the project. So for who of you is not a programmer and is not willing to learn along the side, I believe and I'm afraid that this will not work out, this context for you. While it will work for who is proactive, that want to learn new things, or that is it in coding somehow. Even not necessarily large experience, but enough to understand the code and read documentation and to have a skill and eventually solve the problems. Third thing that I would say is a tip is that you can insert rules to the project that allow it to make less mistakes further away. So as you can see, you can go to setting of your account, and then if you go to the section knowledge, you can add the rules. You might know about rules if you use Cursor or other coding AI platform. And if you write well thought rules, you might make your project better. For example, found it very useful rule of saying that the modules should not be more than 300, 400 rows, because when one file becomes very large, the AI, especially the LLM models, which are cheaper, for example, myself, I've been with different tools. In this case, the AI that is internal to Bolt.new, but in other cases, with client, I've been using ChatGPT 4.1, which is quite cheap. But it also has limits. It is important to make files small enough to make the application modularized so that it creates different files for different elements. Also use something you can write in the rules. The better you write the rules, the better you will find yourself along the way. Also, another thing that actually is that you should be able to check documentation along the way to solve problems. For example, in this project, which is actually a dating application which allow you to chat with the user and its digital twin. It connects to a database, which is Supabase, with the Google Authentication, which uses the Google Cloud Services. So it's true you can integrate with Supabase, but you have to use Supabase separately to run queries, learn along the way how to do that, to create tables there. And I found very effective to use ChatGPT alongside with Bolt.new to ask questions and to solve problem along the way with the search functionality which searches the web to understand how to configure it optimally. It's true that it's integrated this with the Bolt.new, but if you have zero knowledge of Supabase, I would advise you to still to read documentation to use ChatGPT to allow you to use that. Why would you use that? You need to, for example, to whitelist URL in Supabase to allow error that deny you to use and query the database. If this error, you might get really stuck and don't know how to solve it. You might query endlessly Bolt.new and you don't get ahead. So the problem-solving skill, the analytical skill to ask ChatGPT and try to find documentation, read documentation, solve the problem is a must. So if you don't know, if you don't stubborn, willing to learn, then I'm afraid to say to you that you might not go very far from with this project. But if you do, you will get far enough. Build and create your potential startup, SaaS application, any type of application with vibe coding that should be assigned together with analytical skills, searching skills. Without that, I believe we're not there yet to create a full stack application, just with this tool. Authentication is the same thing. You will need to use Google Cloud's console service. You have to do whitelist. You will have the public key. You will need to know where to use it in the project. But new, even though we'll ask you to provide you the keys, when you give I notice sometimes it deletes the elements inside the .m file. So that the .m file is something you might want to have stored outside the project so that if it gets deleted along the way, you can use this value quickly. So there are different aspects to consider when vibe coding and you want to build a full stack web application. I want to show you what I managed to do with the which, by the way, I set it locally. I downloaded and set it locally because I do have some coding skills. So let's go to the project, which is called OSync, and let's run npm run dev. As you can see, here we have the application. I'm already logged in, but if I log out, I can again log in with Google and I'm inside the application. At this point, I can chat with a mocked user and I can decide to chat with the digital twin or the real user. Maybe you want to try the digital twin. How information of the digital twin, I set basically this data at the beginning, I create a user, I get some information which then are stored here related to the personal trait, the interest, communication style, relationship goals, and also the potential compatibility with your user based on those information that matches. This also will be able to read a WhatsApp chat so that it can also rely on them. And also it gets trained over time with the chat you do the real user and the digital twin. So I used to chat with the best version of yourself and vice versa with the other users. This is a quite small application yet. It does its job. It is connected with AI, with Quant 3. You can read it and it will respond. You can watch your name and you will see that it will remember its name and it will respond with its character. That's it. This is to show that you can do far with vibe coding. but with analytical skills and some knowledge of programming that if you don't have, you must be willing to get along the way. Not in-depth knowledge necessarily, but the enough get an understanding of how building application works. I hope this video was useful. Consider to subscribe the channel if you didn't. Like the video. Let me know what you think about this idea of app. Let me know if you have any specific idea on how to make it better. And let me know if you wish me to explain more about my experience in the comments. And see you in the next video.